Now, as sexy as it is, guys, working with your spouse every day, working with your wife, you can wake up together, go to lunch together, go to dinner together. It can have its ups and downs. And today we're going to unpack how it is working with your spouse and how you can get along and not kill each other. So we got to go back a bit, right? So let's go back to when I first met Jasmine. I met Jasmine sometime in 2010. Sometime in 2010, maybe 2011. I met Jasmine. It's probably 2011. And we met through a mutual friend. A mutual friend knew from high school. She wound up moving to Chicago as well. We reconnected. And, she was like, Ellis, come on out, right? And so we come out, and this event we had went to, one of my favorite restaurant, man, it's no longer open, man, but Zed 451, man, in Chicago, that was an incredible restaurant, and it had an incredible rooftop too as well. So I meet Jasmine that night. She comes in as usual, to this day, fashionably late. All right, so she came in late. And, she'll say, well, she was at another event and everybody already knew, right? But Jasmine still, it shows up, the clock moves on Jasmine time, all right? But anyway, so I meet her that night. We're just talking. I was introduced to her just like all of the other ladies that was there that night that knew my mutual friend. And, so I'm just talking to everybody. I'm just being transparent and nothing there. I looked at her like, oh, she's cute, but that was kind of it. I wasn't looking for nothing at the time. I wasn't looking for no relationship. But I also knew, to be quite honest with you, from the very first time that I laid my eyes on Jasmine, I said, you don't play with that right there. That's not a hookup. That's not something that you mess around with. That is a lady that you respect. That's a lady that could be a wife. From the first time that I met her, and I had no more than a 5-10 minute conversation with her, right? But the spirit recognizes the spirit, and that's what I knew from day one. And so some years go by. We had been in the same rooms a couple of times. We hadn't really, spent a lot of time together, but we would be at the same places, same parties sometime. We'd talk, say hello, laugh, whatever, and that's about it. And then one night, it was something called Battle of the Sexes. It was like during a Valentine's Day weekend. And the same mutual friend put this event together. Jasmine shows up again as she does, fashionably late. And, it was something different that night. Something that night that said, I'm going to shoot my shot tonight. I'm going to shoot my shot. And I was nervous, because if anybody really knows me, I don't have no game. All right. So I'm not the dude that would just walk up to girls in the club and just get their number and was suave and debonair. That wasn't really me. All right. And so, I say all the time, I ain't got no game, but I could talk enough crap to wake a dead man up. Is the saying that's how it goes. Because when I'm in, I'm in. But the initial, I'm like awkward as hell. Right. So anyway, I see Jasmine. I'm like, man, tonight is going to be the night that I make my approach. I don't know how, though. And so I was in a situation where I was able to, take her to a car. It was cold out, Chicago snowing. I'm fidgeting, I'm nervous, I don't really say nothing to her, and I just take her to a car and we're going to meet at another place. And so we go to this other place, and everyone still talks about me to this day. I was hungry, all right? The event, the food ran out. I was hungry, so I stopped at a Wendy's. And I get me a 4 for $4. I'm still struggling. I ain't got no money, guys. I'm grab a 4 for $4 from Wendy's, and I go to the spot where everybody was meeting at, and I thought I was respectful. I went into the kitchen and I ate the food in the kitchen, and everybody said, "How you gonna come in here with food, Ellis, and don't bring nobody else no food?" I'm like, I just grabbed a 4 for $4 and I went in the kitchen. You act like I came into the living room and ate in front of everybody. Jasmine said that was tacky. So, all right, I guess I was tacky that night, okay? So, I haven't done it again. And so, the night goes on, we talk and laugh, and everybody's, doing what they doing. And somehow I get into a position where I corner Jasmine. And, so I say, hey, what's going on? She's like, hey, what's going on? You know, she's thinking nothing. And, you know, so what you be doing? She's like, work. You know, Jasmine, she's like, work. Matter of fact, what's the point? And I'm like, so, you know, I think me and you, maybe we should connect sometime. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And so I kind of put her in a situation in front of everybody. And I said, put your phone number in my phone. And it caught her off guard, and she actually put her number in it, and she put her real number in it. And Jasmine had this big thing about not dating mutual friends, not messing with mutual friends, which I understood, but I was serious. And a couple of other people that approached Jasmine before saw me do it and saw her put her number in, to which she sold me later, you know, kind of upset a couple of people. I ain't give a shit. You know, so because my mission was to be with Jasmine. She had these like blue pants on that was like real form-fitting, fellas, right? And she had like this black top with these little ruffles on the shoulders. And it was like, it's do or die. It's now or never. If I don't go tonight, I'm never gonna get this opportunity again. So I got her phone number and I'm like, okay, mission accomplished. I didn't call her. I never called Jasmine. And what happened was we were supposed to be going to another event that was coming up. And she said, she did reach out to me and like, hey, yo, you coming? And I'm like, yeah, I think it was a text. I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm gonna come. At this time in my life, man, my car had just got repossessed. So after I met Jasmine that night, you know, to talk with her, no, my car wasn't repoed. I was struggling financially. You know, I had a car note that was expensive. I was in an apartment that had just went up on rent. My job was taking a lot of taxes from me, pension from me, and some other stuff for healthcare. It was just a mess that was going through. So I wasn't in the best space financially. And I remember my mutual friend was like, if you gonna come to this event, Ellis, make sure you dress right. And I'm like, oh man, because at this point, you know, I don't have I had no suits, by the way. And so I wasn't really big fashionable person like that. So I'm like, all right. So because I didn't have the extra money to go buy something, I just didn't go. I didn't go to the event. And I felt kind of bad because I had told Jasmine I was going to go. And I felt bad because I didn't have the money. And it kind of sucked. And it was embarrassing. So I just didn't go. And a couple of weeks later went by, she called me. And she texted me one of them, and she was like, what happened to you? Why I didn't come? And I gave her some BS reason why I didn't come or whatever. And so I just picked up the phone and I called her. And she was in Walmart, I think. And we wound up having like a 2-3 hour conversation that night. And I just never stopped talking to her ever since. So that's what happened. That's how we met. And then, you know, as they say, the rest is history. I stalked her and eventually tied her down, clubbed her over the head, and took over the broom, right? And got married. So now we're working our careers, working up the corporate ladder after the wedding and, you know, working 60, 70 hour work weeks apiece, trying to make it, trying to figure it out, paying the mortgage. We just bought the house and it was cool, you know, exciting. It was my first house. I only grew up in an apartment, you know, all my life. I only grew up in a 600 square foot apartment. So it was exciting to be a homeowner. And I was willing to do whatever I needed to do to pay the bills so that I could provide a better life for my family and obviously for myself. And so after doing that for a few years, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life, just breaking my back, just working, not really getting ahead like I thought I was. And so it's like, I got to do something different. So I was extremely frustrated. I was telling Jasmine. Jasmine was frustrated with her job. She came home complaining all the time. She worked 60, 70 hours too as well. And so a lot of days she would just come home and go right to bed. And I'm like, we can't do this. This has to change. And many of you feel like that. Many of you are married in relationships and all you do is work. And all you do is work and you only see each other on the weekends. Literally, the way that America is set up, you only get to spend time with a significant other 2 days out of the week and a couple of holidays throughout the year. Is that really living? Is that really life? Is that what you want for all the days until one day, hopefully you could retire at 60 and then you're supposed to start living then? So you spend 20, 30, 40 years with a person to maybe begin to figure them out and learn who they are when it's about to be over? I said, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Nah, that ain't gonna work. I said, I'm much greater than that. There's too much money out here in the world to be made for me to have to do this for the rest of my life. So I began to search, I began to pray first. There's a lot of people don't know I was praying for an opportunity. 3 years I prayed for an opportunity before it showed up. And when it showed up, it did not look like what I thought it was gonna look like. Never in a million years did I ever think I was gonna get into the insurance industry. I thought I was gonna start my own engineering firm. That's what I thought. I was actually going down that path to do so. It was extremely expensive, and it just wasn't happening. It's like something kept blocking it from happening. And when something like that is blocking you from happening, in the way I think, the way I believe, it's just like God saying, no, that's not it. Then I thought I was gonna get into real estate. Too much. It was like, that was an easy no for me because I didn't have the extra money to really do that. Then a friend introduces me to the insurance industry. And he says, I want you to meet a gentleman. I want you to meet this gentleman named Matt Sapala. I was like, okay, cool. So I go meet this gentleman, Matt, and 6'4" Filipino. If you know anything about Filipinos, they like this big. So to meet a 6'4" Filipino was insane, right? And he's sitting in a chair like this, kind of laid back, chilling, smoking on a cigar. We went to a cigar lounge. And I'm like, okay, cool, who's this cat? And I see his watch. It's a presidential Rolex. I'm like, shoot, he don't look that much older than me. He got a presidential on his wrist. Okay. Don't look like no drug dealer. All right, what's going on? So I sit down. I get my cigar, and I'm smoking, and we talking. And he said, what you want to do in life, Ellis? Said, I want to be rich, man. I want to become a millionaire. Yeah, I want to travel the world. I want to take care of my family. I don't want my wife to have to work anymore. I don't want her answering to other people. I said, if she gonna have to listen to anybody, it should be me. She don't listen to me. So I damn sure don't want her listening to no other man. And so he started laughing. And so we laughed about that, and we just continued to have a conversation. And I just asked Matt a couple of questions. I said, Matt, can I do what you do? Can I make the money that you make? He said, yes, you can. I said, would you be willing to help me? He said, yes, I will. And I said, what do I got to do? He said, well, Ellis, you just got to come on board and you got to get your license. Can you pass the test? I said, I don't like tests, but I guess I can. He said, well, give it a shot. So I came on board. I gave it a shot, right? And I said, this is going to be it. So I go home. I tell Jasmine, I'm super excited. She was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing any type of sales. You don't talk to anybody. You're an introvert. I'm not doing insurance sales. I'm like, okay, you a hater, right? So I'm like, you just rained down on my parade. I'm like, I found the key, and I'm not easily moved. I'm not easily moved to jump on something, on a bandwagon, to think that it's about to, be the thing. But I did know, like, insurance has been around forever. Obviously, it's got to be some money into it. It's not a new industry. And I said, okay. But one thing my wife did tell me, she was like, Ellis, you don't commit to anything anyway. And that struck hard. That was deep when she cut me deep when she said that. And the only reason it cut because it's what? It's true. She was right. I started to say, well, I committed to you. I said, but I didn't want no problems. That was a you don't want that argument, fellas, right? So anyway, I stayed committed. My car, and by the way, it wasn't easy because immediately when I started, the minute that you tell God that you want to do something and you serious and you take that first step forward, the enemy also hears it as well and is going to throw everything at you to make you quit, to deter you. And God is going to allow it to happen because he wants to see if you're really serious about it. And so immediately when I get started, my engine blows in my car. I said, how in the world does an engine, I don't even hear of Hemi engines blowing. I had a Hemi in my Charger. I'm like, nobody else I know that got a Hemi, the engine blew. Mine blew? Okay. And so I tell Jasmine, man, my car broke, whatever. And then like, I don't know, in the next couple of days, the meeting coming up, and she's like, so how you gonna get to your little meeting tonight? I said, with your car. She said, no, you're not taking my car. I said, yes, I am taking your car. I'm going tonight. It's on Tuesdays and Saturday mornings, I'm going. She's like, okay. So I went, and then I also bummed a ride from, some other people that just started out too as well. And I stayed consistent. I kept going, and I went every meeting. I never missed a meeting because I just always ask myself one question: what's the worst that can happen, and what you gonna go back to? Do you want to go back to working up the corporate ladder, working for people that don't appreciate you? I remember one time being in a meeting, the chief engineer of the department, the company, told me, Ellis, if I want your opinion, I ask you for it. Cool. That's not what I'm going back to, right? So I stayed consistent, got my license, made a couple dollars. And eventually Jasmine is beginning to look at it and say, okay, he's serious about it. Maybe I should take a look too as well. See what's going on, right? She comes, see what's going on, see that I'm serious. Eventually I drag her to an event, to a conference. She sees the vision and she comes on board. And she said, okay, Ellis, because she's like, who am I to continue to put my husband down or try to stop my husband or deter him when he's only trying to help our family win? And from that point on, she came on board to begin to help. So I'm excited now. I finally got my wife to come on board. She's in it. We ready to roll, baby. I'm ready to go. And then everything hits the fan. Me and Jasmine are completely night and day. See, what most people don't understand in a relationship, in a marriage, you don't really know your spouse until you really spend time with them day in, day out. You don't know how your wife or your husband is at work, right? You don't know how lazy they are. You don't know what tick gets them upset, right? For fellas, we hear our wives when they come home, complain about this, that, and the third from their job. It's like, all right, cool, whatever, and that's it. But when you step into it with them, it's different. My wife is extremely structured, right? She wants to know what's step number 1, what's step number 2, what's step number 3. I'm action. I'm ready to get to it. I don't know how we do it. We just do it. We just go. You do this? All right, cool. I'm gonna do this. I'm like that in the beginning. To her, it's the most annoying thing in the world because it's just like, also with action people, you can waste a lot of time because you just going, you just doing, right? You can be busy and not productive. And that's a problem for action people, being just busy. Now, also for structured people, it could be a problem because you never make a step forward doing anything because you're trying to figure out all the steps. So we had to learn how our differences actually helped each other, right? Jasmine helped me when I finally learned it, that her structure helps me go. Because once I got the steps, I can go. And for Jasmine, my action helps because we can help each other get results. But in the beginning, it wasn't like that. I didn't appreciate her differences. I didn't appreciate her being structured because I felt like it was always her questioning me. And it wasn't that she was questioning me. She was just trying to gain clarity and understanding, right, on how a process worked. And I didn't want to explain the process. I'm just like, Jazz, let's just do it. They say this we got to do, let's just go and do it. And it's not wise. And so it caused a lot of friction because our working styles were different. Our upbringings were different in the sense of like, I just got paid to do a job. Jasmine, her job, her career field was she had to come up with a lot of solutions for things. She had to come up with strategies, and I didn't. And so in business, that caused a problem because you got to come up with solutions, you got to come up with strategies, you got to come up with steps, you got to come up with a lot of things that I wasn't prepared for, and it caused a lot of friction. So now we got this friction because Jasmine is no longer working the job. We achieved some success. We got some money coming in. And now we got to go home with each other after a long day and day in, day out running this business. And it was difficult. because it's not a switch that you just turn on and off. You can't just turn a switch off and say, I'm not mad at you anymore this evening. Let's be cozy and Netflix and chill. They don't work like that, you know? And so you got to really learn how to handle your day and what processes you need to put into place so that you don't bring it home, right? Because it bleeds over into the home life. It don't stop. There is no work-life balance when you're running a business together. It all bleeds together. So if you done pissed her off during the day, it's the same thing at night, buddy, right? And so I'll tell you one thing that we really utilized to help us was two things I'll give you. Number one, if this conversation, matter of fact, this just happened like yesterday. If this conversation is not going to matter in the next 5 years, if the next 5 minutes is not going to matter 5 years from now, let it go. And when she said it, I said, you know what? You're right. Let it go. And you just got to let it go. The other one is, if this is not a money-making activity that we're discussing, we need to let it go and move on. Because everything about, to be quite honest, when you're running a business, especially a startup business, everything is about generating income. It's not about purpose. It's not about what you like to do. It's not about none of that. It's about one thing and one thing only when you start a business, is to be profitable. So everything that we had to now go around was money-making activities. Is taking out the trash a money-making activity? No. Is washing dishes a money-making activity? No. Is washing clothes? And you may be saying, Ellis, what are you talking about? Because when you married, right? I'm from New Orleans. I'm from the South. So I've seen a lot of traditional things in the role of a wife. So Jasmine, why are you not washing the clothes? Why are you not washing the dishes? Why are you not cooking the meal? I don't know the last time I had a hot meal. My wife looked at me one day and said, Ellis, do you want a wife or a business mogul? I thought about that. I paused. I said, I'll take the business mogul. We can hire somebody to wash these dishes and fold these clothes. Now, to some of you may say that is absolutely asinine, Ellis, for you not to wash your own clothes and wash your own dishes. Well, that's the difference between business owners and people who work for business owners. Because the number one job of an entrepreneur is to create jobs. I'm creating jobs for somebody else. That lady who comes, cleans our home, or, washes our clothes, or, meal preps, all of those things, those are jobs. We are giving back to the economy of the country that we live in. The number one provider of jobs in America is small businesses. We're making sure that we're providing opportunities and creating opportunities for other people so that they can have jobs. People, when they talk about blended relationships, they, talking about typically from my understanding is, somebody already has a kid and we're looking to become a unit, maybe eventually becoming married. That's what I think of when I hear blended relationships, bringing two different worlds together. I think kids don't determine whether or not a relationship becomes successful. It's all about whether or not the parent is strong in their parenting skills. Kids don't dictate or run anything. They're the children. Your job is to raise them. And so when I see many people who relationships didn't work out because they said the kid was the issue, it's typically because the parent didn't parent their kids and raise them up in a way to be respectful or, respect boundaries. In a lot of situations, kids don't have boundaries. Kids have to have boundaries. Just like you have boundaries as an adult, right? You don't go to work, you don't make money, you're going to get put out on the street. Simple as that. So, my experience in life, man, I've dated a lot of girls with children. All right. Jasmine is by far the only woman I've ever met where I loved the parenting skills from day one. Her child was respectful. Her child understood her boundaries. Her child respected what Jasmine said. You know, kids are always gonna try you, they're gonna test you, yeah, obviously. But Jasmine, that mama to look at you and it's like, you better stop, and boop, stop right there on the spot. I said, okay, cool, I can get with this. She gonna be a good mama. And that's definitely one of the reasons why I love her so much is because I knew she is going to be a phenomenal mother to our children. Because as much as she balances discipline, is as much as she has love as well. You never feel like there's love missing when the discipline is there. I know Ayana probably don't feel like that, but from the outside looking in, that's definitely what I see. Jasmine's parenting skill was one of the deciding factors on if I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. Because not only did she know how to handle her kid, she knew how to handle my kid as well. And my kid, you know, didn't have a lot of boundaries coming up, you know. It's one of the things that, you know, caused friction in my relationship before. It was just like, yo, this kid needs boundaries. And there wasn't a lot, but that came also too from, you know, my child's mom had to work, make a way, so my child, Monique, spent a lot of time with her grandparents. And we all know the grandparents do not have the boundaries and the strict rules like they did on us. You know, and so it was extremely funny knowing how my child's mom parents were with her when we was coming up to how they were with Monique. Completely night and day. I'm like, is this the same people? It's like, these are not the same people, right? You know, but I mean, that's grandparents. That's their job. Their job is to, you know, they already raised their kids. Their job is to love on their grandchildren and spoil them and let them get away with some things that they normally wouldn't get away with their parents. It's one of the reasons why I love spending time with my grandmother. My grandmother let me get away. The only thing I had to do was cut her grass, wash her car, and go to church. And I loved going to church with her because it was Catholic church. And I only had to spend an hour there, 45 minutes. And we always ate afterwards in a little room in the back. So it was always cool going to grandma church. And one of the things I admire a lot about Jasmine is her ability to parent and love her kids. And especially being the only girl to 5 brothers. All right, Jasmine could be a little rough. I, you know, told her before, like, hey, you around all these 5 brothers and stuff. But I mean, they made her tough, right? You know, they made her tough. You know, ain't no dude was ever gonna get over on Jasmine, not with them 5 brothers. You know what I'm saying? And I love all her brothers, by the way. Me and all her brothers have a great relationship. He really accepted me as a brother, and I love them all. But, you know, just her, seeing her, how she acts with Ayana as well, you know, was extremely important and very loving, very nurturing. It's something I have admired a lot about her. You know, she went hard for her kid, raising her kid. She went real hard. And parenthood is not always a glamorous, glorious job where you receive a lot of recognition. You know, for many years, you won't even know whether or not your training and your parenting was appreciated or it worked, right? Because it's not until our children grow up that we find out whether or not, you know, they really took heed to it. And decisions that, you know, children make is not always on us, right? Because they're an adult. They get to choose whether or not they want to follow what we taught them growing up. But the example that Jasmine set for her kids, it's like no other. I truly admire that. Yeah, you know, let's talk about the benefits of meeting a phenomenal single mom. Because I'm going to be quite honest with you guys, Jasmine upgraded me in that category of becoming a better dad. She was like, no, you need to know, you know, the baby mom is right. You know, she would be like, no, she's right. No, Ellis, you didn't do this. No. And I'm like, I thought you supposed to be on my side. And she was like, no, right is right, Ellis, and wrong is wrong. And that girl is right. You didn't do X, Y, Z. You need to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, all right, man, whatever, you know. And Jasmine, what I love about her, she is extremely non-biased. She's a very factual person. She'll look at, from the lens of both sides, and she always down the middle, and she really knows how to control her emotions and put that to the side as well in situations to really come up with the best solution. Jasmine is extremely a solution-oriented person, and so that has helped a lot. It helped me be a better parent as well to my daughter. There was nothing sexier than seeing a woman who was a single mom, a teen parent, graduated from college, Howard University. Not only that, but a lot of people don't know, Jasmine was in New Orleans for a few years. She went to Dillard University first. Hurricane Katrina hit. She leaves Dillard, goes back to Chicago, gets accepted to Howard, move cross country again to Howard, finish from there, work on Capitol Hill, come back to Chicago, gets a master's degree so that she can continue to elevate, all while being a single mom. That's sexy as hell. I don't know about you, but a woman who is about her business, makes no excuses while being, about having a kid, I don't think there's any type of woman better than a woman like that. Fellas, so if you're considering starting a business with your boo, with your babe, with your wifey, with your wife, consider a couple of things. Make sure that you throw your ego out the door. Ego has to go. And remember that you are not in competition with your spouse. They're there to help you. They're a help me. A woman's natural inclination is to always see something it's not working to try and help and fix it. They're not trying to overthrow you or question your ability or make you feel insignificant. It's just to help. So fellas, I hope you realize you can run a successful business with your spouse. It's gonna take some work, obviously, but you'll get there. And always remember that they're your helpmate. They wanna see you win. They never wanna see you fall. They never wanna see you fail at anything. And remember to always let wealth and purpose drive you to prosperity.